This conference will now be recorded.
Hello. So this is the second section of our online classes. So here in this section, I'm going to deal with the remaining part of functions terminology. So we have stopped our discussion at of functions arguments. So I'm continuing my discussion from there. Functions argument. So what is the meaning of arguments? Means the input values that are applied to the function are called as arguments. What is meant by arguments means the input values that are applied to the function are called as arguments of a function. So these are divided into two types. They are mainly actual arguments. Number two, formal arguments. So let us see with an example. So I'm going to create a program in which we already have discussed, that has been already discussed in the previous section. So I'm going to design a add function. So it is of type integer int add. So it consists, it required two integer arguments int comma int. So this is the way I have created the add function. So here I am going to take void main function. So later in the main function, I have created two variables int a, b, and here I'm going to create int c. So I'm going to scan the values of a and b. Ampersand a, ampersand b, semicolon. So c equal to add of a comma b. So at last, I'm going to make the printf statement as the sum of percentage d and percentage d is percentage d comma a comma b comma c. So this is the actual program. So here, in order to supply the predefined functions, sorry, here in order to supply the function, in order to all the function calling statement to be executed, we need to define the add function. So add function is like this: void add of int p comma int q int r scanf, sorry, r equal to p plus q. Later I need to return r. So this is how I have designed the program. So I'm going to save this as add1.c. So I'm going to compile it. It's getting compiled. So there is a conflict. So the return type that has been in the declaration is of type int. Here I have supplied void, so there the conflict, the error has occurred. Now again I had compiled, so there are no errors and zero warnings. So I'm going to run this file. I'm going to supply 34 and 56. The sum of 34 and 56 is 90. So this is the actual execution flow. So what happens here will be demonstrated in tutorial mode like this. Please be patient. So I'm going to create a stack frame for our program. This is the stack frame for our program. So here I am going to create main function stack frame. So inside the main function, we have mainly three variables, A, B, and C. So it is A variable, it is B variable, and it is C variable. So due to the statement int A comma B comma C, so here in the main stack frame, three variables A, B, C are get created. So due to the scanf statement, we will be supplying the input values. So like in the previous example which I have showed there, I'm going to give the input values like this. So I just go to supply the input value, a value as 10, and here the b value as 20 I have supplied. Now, so the scanf statement has been over. There in the A value 10 is stored, in B 20 is stored. Now, due to this statement, this statement is called as this function calling statement, which has been discussed in the previous section, add of A comma B, which is called as a function calling statement. Whenever the system encounters the function calling statement, what happens means the control will be transferred. The control will be transferred from calling function to called function. Add means the control will transfer from here to here. So here in our example, not only control is coming from calling statement to calling function to call function. So along with the control, we are going to receive some data through the control. A and B values are also coming from the add function. So whenever the function calling statement get executed, that function stack frame will be created in the stack memory. So what is the function we have called is it's add function, and it is p comma q. So here I'm going to create p variable and Q variable and R variable Q and R. So what happens here is, so with the control, the values also we have received. The A value gets stored in P value. So now this value becomes 10. Next, later, so Q value becomes 20 because the B value gets stored in the corresponding formal argument. So here, corresponding A value gets stored here. This is the way the arguments, the information is passed from one function to another function. So through the arguments only we can pass the information from one function to another function. So this is what happened. Then this, due to this statement, R variable get created. So hence due to this statement, P and Q get added, and the result value, whichever the result value that is obtained here, it is 30. It is stored here. So and it get returned back. So since we encountered the return statement, whenever we encountered the return statement, what happens again means the control will again transfer back to the calling statement, and the execution will starts from where it has resumed in the calling function. So here what happens means this step get C equal to, so what is the value I have returned is R value. So here the R value is 30. So hence the statement becomes like this. So hence by printing the statement, we will obtain the sum of 10 and 20 is 30. In this way, the program will get executed. So what is the main point we need to remember is, in functions, the variable names means the argument name arguments, the actual arguments and formal arguments need not be same. Or also we can take the same type of variable names, but the memory locations are different. The most important point here is the actual arguments memory location is different from formal arguments memory locations. They are local to calling function. Actual arguments are local to calling function, whereas formal arguments are local to called function. So this is the most important point we need to remember. So for that purpose, I'm going to share this example to you. So later what happens means, after the endpoint is reached, after this, the stack frame get collapsed. Again, so main function execution also get collapsed. So later the execution is over. So in this way, the functions are get executed. So this is the this is basic execution flow of our functions. In this way, the function execution get done. Whenever there is a chance of encountering the function calling statement, this is what happens inside the system. So you need to remember it very much. So another one more point means actual arguments are different from formal arguments. Actual arguments means the arguments that are present in function calling statement is called as actual arguments. Here AB are called as actual arguments. These are called as actual arguments. And here P and Q are called as formal arguments. So this is the most important point we need to remember. So this is about arguments. So arguments is the only way we can transfer data from calling function to called function. So how can you transfer data from a called function to calling function is through the return statement. So it will be discussed. So once you have taken this screenshot, I will continue to next section that is called as return statement. Arguments are used to provide. Arguments are used to send data calling function to called function. So it may be either send or receive. Along with the control. Now let us discuss about natural arguments. Natural arguments are mainly used to send data from calling function to called function along with the control. Whereas formal arguments are used to receive data from calling function to called function along with the control. So this is the basic point we need to remember function arguments. Okay, next. So in arguments, so what is the basic use of arguments means in order to send data from calling function to called function with control along with the control, we can use arguments. Then how can you send data from called function to calling function? By using the return statement. By using the return statement. This is the most use of return statement. So return statement is used to send data from called function to calling function along with the data. So it is the first point we need to. What is the main role of return statement is used to send data from actually return statement is used to send data from call function to calling function along with the control. Sorry, along with the control. So whenever the return statement is encountered in the program, that function execution get passed, and then the control is transferred from calling function to called function, and then the execution starts from where it has been passed in the calling function. So this is about return statement. So how many values can we send by using return statement? Oh, can return multiple values on the return statement? Let's see. I'm going to compile it. It has compiled fine. So I'm going to show you by zooming it. It has compiled fine. Okay. So let us try what will be the output. 56 and 45 has been. The sum of 56 and 45 is 56. How the 56 has occurred? Let us discuss. A value is 56, P value is 45. Now P value becomes 56 and Q value becomes 45. So here P plus Q means 56 and 45. I think it is the 6 plus 5 is 11. So 1 or 1. R value becomes 1. So here I have written two values, but in the output it is appeared 56 has been written. Actually 56 value is P value is 56. So from this statement, we can conclude that the return statement is going to return the value. So due to the comma operator, so in comma operator, the rightmost value will be sent. So due to this, so the p value get displayed. Okay, so let us try one more thing. So return statement can also be sent like this also. Return statement can also be written like this also. Let us try with this one. Compilation and running 56 and 45 is 101. It is fine. So let's try again with this one. Compilation and running 56 and 45. So again, we are getting the p value. So from this, we can conclude that we have written multiple return values. So we are going to return multiple values by using return statement by using the comma operator, but the control along with the control, the data that is going to be sent is only a single value gets sent from called function to calling function. So hence, what is the statement we can write means return statement can send only one value from called function to calling function. Can I place multiple return statements in a program? Let's try. So I'm going to compile it. It get compiled fine. So that means we can place multiple return statements in a function. Let's 45 and 67. So what is the output? I got 45 as output because, so as I have said, whenever the program get encountered with the return statement, the function execution gets stopped there, and then control is returned along with the return value to the calling function, and from there the calling function get resumed, execution get resumed. So this is what happens in the functions. So this is the basic terminology in the functions. Next, last and final, I'm going to discuss about return type. So what is meant by return type? So it is a data type which is used to it is a data type which is used to specify type of the value that is going to returned by a function. So return type is nothing but it is a data type which is used to specify the type of the value that is going to be returned by a function. So let me show you that. So we have already discussed about return type. So this is called as return type. The main thing about return type is it is going to specify us about the type of the value that is going to be returned by that function. Here in our example, the add function is going to be returned an integer value, means it need to return an integer value. So this is about return type. So this is the thing about functions terminology. In the function terminology we have learned, I am going to end this section by again concluding with function terminology. In the function terminology we have learned function declaration, function definition, so function calling statement, function arguments, return statement, and return type. So these are the major terminology. As well as in the meanwhile, we also learned about calling function and called function, as well as the function execution flow. So by this, I wind up the section. So thank you very much for listening my section.